down, 1 to go on the 2 Falcons and a Harlot build, leaving at this point the 3rd ship in the group, the rebuilt, or reimagined rather, version of the Jilted Harlot. Now, some of the details that I put on this one will be making their way into the new version, notably being the raised engine deck and the dual cannons. For the raised engine deck, I've got some sheet styrene I'm going to add to the back of the vanes from Lando's version. I'm also going to be cutting the top section to allow to raise this back section up. For the guns, I'll be taking the 2 barrels from the fine molds version and using them in place of the single barrels from the solo version. For these rocket nozzles, I'll ironically be using the rocket nozzles that came for the pod if you decided to remove it. I'll also be using the solid engine detail to fill in when this gets raised up. Other than that, the biggest difference here will be paint and the figures I put in it. Like I did with this version of the Harlot, I'll be using some N-scale figures. Time to get started. Alright, at this point, the first of the major modifications has been made. I have cut from sheet styrene a panel to act as an extension for that. This middle panel will probably get a divot akin to what's on the original version of the Harlot cut into it. I have cut with my Dremel the section here, and using some boiling water, raised it up a bit. I will later go in and fill these gaps, probably with some sheet styrene given the narrowness of them. But we're starting serious work. Alright, what we've got here are the ends of the docking ports off the 1/144th fine molds Falcon. I have flattened the ports from the Lando Falcon so that I can take these, glue them in place to change up the detail. Just something, again, to set this ship apart from either version of the Millennium Falcon. Alright, at this point, as you can see, I've gone in with a custom darker gray and painted a lot of what will be exposed on the Harlot's hull. I've gone ahead and done this section even though I haven't done the filler yet, but I figure I've got enough of that paint made that it shouldn't be an issue. But there's a lot of darker gray going on now. Alright, well, you can't really see a lot in these guys. I have the crew of the Jilted Harlot painted up. There we have our captain, the red-headed Trelana Morningside. Her first mate / engineer, Cassus. And this gal's skin is indeed pink. She is a Zeltron. Her name is Bluetail. She's currently the co-pilot for the Jilted Harlot. Sooner or later, these folks will wind up in the cockpit, and we'll get things really going. Alright, there in the cockpit you have Blue and Trey, and in the back there you've got Cassis. Going ahead and showing this because once I get the canopy frame on, chances are you are not going to be able to make much out here. Alright, as with the first run of this ship, it's going together fairly quickly now that I've got some of the mod work done. As you can see, I've got all the sidewalls in place, as well as the detail piece there, and the interior, as well as the gun bay. Of course, it's still waiting for the gun to be installed, but that's where we're sitting at the moment. Alright, as you can see, base construction's pretty much done. There's still some work needing to be done. Still have to install the cockpit framing, which is sitting over here while I debate if I want to paint it red, like on the original Harlot, or leave it gray. Need to install the dish. I also need to install the back plates, but I'm waiting until I get the filler plate installed here and here. Also still need to install the guns. Now, on the back, you'll notice that second tier, that's actually the opaque version of the exhaust grill from the Force Awakens Falcon, cut in half to act as the filler for the raised upper deck. I also still have to install the rocket nozzles. But, as you can see, the Mark II version of the Harlot is well on its way. Alright, at this point, all that is really left to do is install the guns and do the detail painting. As you can see, I've installed the dish. That is a combination of parts. You've got the main dish from the 1144th Millennium Falcon, or sorry, the Fine Molds 1144th Millennium Falcon, and supplemented by sheet styrene, as you can see there, and the gunwell mounts, or the gun mounts rather, from the Fine Molds Falcon. At this point, all that is left to install are the guns themselves, because the new back deck is in place. I may give that another coat of the gray paint to help even things out. Also back here, you can make out the augmented nozzles. We're getting really close, folks. Alright, at this point, I have finished the detail painting and weathering on the Jilted Harlot. So we're going to call this one done. Let's take a look. Alright, as you can see, it's got very similar gray and red color scheme to its predecessor. The enlarged back deck, which I don't know if it actually does anything for the ship or not. I just thought it looked cool. Our figures in the cockpit, you can make out Blue and Trey fairly well there. The distinctly different dish. Coming in under the engine deck, you've got the auxiliary nozzles. Now, unlike with the Lando version of the Falcon, I did go ahead and give the back deck here a black wash to help bring out the details in the engines. You've got the twin barrel turrets, both top and bottom. As you can see, I also continued the red and gray detailing along the bottom. I did not paint the midsection, and looking back at it, I think that was a good decision. Now, as I know I'm going to start rambling any minute here, I'm going to put some stills at the end of this, excuse me, and call this triple set done. Alright, I promised some of the guys over at Scale Model Addict a size comparison between the Revell and Bandai Falcons. As you can see, the Revell Falcon is noticeably smaller. I mean, cockpits are about the same size, but other than that, this ship's probably closer to 1/164th, if this one is indeed 1/144th. Similar idea with the Bandai Lando Falcon versus the Revell Lando Falcon. Details are very similar between the kits, which is kind of surprising. Although there are some other details where there's some definite differences, especially in the paint on the nose. But it really becomes obvious when you look between the two Jilted Harlots. Originally, I was going to use the 1/144th fine molds dish on the Bandai kit, but as you can tell, there's a huge size difference there. But again, you look at them side by side, and the Bandai kit in all three cases is clearly larger and more detailed, if not more accurately detailed. I'd weigh odds the Bandai one's probably the more accurate of the two. But there's your side-by-side. And again, thank you all for watching.